Hey archery fam, how we doing today? Got my working glasses. I'm going to show you how I make a string. Try to make this short and sweet. So I already have 6 strands set up here. Wax the ends. I usually wax the 18 to 21 inches, somewhere in there. The pink I've already done, and when I got the roll here because I just Okay, and when I go around on the top loop, on down this, when I start my first strand, I tie it to here, and then I start coming down and around and up and down and up, and I go around the first thing to complete one. Then, as I'm coming down, up and down, then I'll go across the 2. So when I hit number 2, I actually have 2 complete strands. So this way, as I'm going through, and you see the little across, as I'm going across here, boop, ba-doop, 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 and you can see that right there, how this is on this side, because I have 6 strands ready to go. Okay, so let's see if we can get this joker here. Keep that steady. I use my handy dandy outdoor edge knife. Got a few of these. I love them because, after I sharpen them up, and I always carry extra blades, so if anything happens to it, I like the extra sharp blades. Okay, I make sure it's nice and tight. I got a groove right here. I cut right through that. Okay, now we're done. Okay, this is the B55. This is the most stretched material. It's used specifically for people that like the softer feel on their bows, off their fingers. Vintage bows, a lot of bow makers will recommend that you only use B55 on your vintage bows because of the lack of stress that they'll put on the limbs and the wood, because the older bows have seen a lot more damage, just weathering time, things of that nature. And this strand of string, if I can get this joker. There we go. Holy moly. There we go. So I have this right here. I try to keep everything from hitting the floor, because if you get dirt on these strands, it'll get in there and it'll act like a cutting agent, and you'll get, your string cut, and you'll have a bad time with your bow. This is the bow wax I use. It's just bow maker's wax. I get it at Lancaster, but you can get it at any traditional archery, Three Rivers, any trad archery site that sells bow making stuff. I just have this little one here that, I'm wearing out. I take, 18 to 21 inches. I usually go about 6 times on each side. So you can go 2, you can go 1, whatever, because the strings do come pre-waxed. Okay, and I recommend the bow maker wax because it's not sticky. It doesn't clump up. So when you're, doing your loops, you're not going to make a mess. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on the back, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on the front. That's just me. It's just like the way I like to do it. And I like to make sure the strings are nice and taut, because any loose strings are going to make your string louder, and also allows for debris to get in there. And once debris gets in your string, it will cut it. And over time, you'll forget about it, and then one day you'll pull your bow back and pow, and you'll have a bad time. We don't want that. We want everybody to stay safe and enjoy themselves when they're shooting their bows, not hurting themselves. Okay, I have a couple clamps here. Got them from Harbor Freight. Got my steel ruler, which I also got from Harbor Freight. It was a square that I use. I measure on the side here, on the side of my board. I have these measurements right here. So I've already measured it out to about 12 inches. So this helps me when I am making my loop lengths. Okay? And hopefully we can get to that. So we measure our strings. We got them. So this is a 54-inch string for a 58-inch bow. And that's a recurve. And if you're not knowledgeable about recurves versus longbows. Usually it's not, as a general rule, it's pretty accurate for longbows, 3 inches shorter than your AMO. AMO is Archery Manufacturers Organization. A long time ago they created it to standardize everything, So I'll measure here 9 inches. Right that 9-inch point. I take my clamp and I clamp the 2 strings. Now that's why I have this other nail, finishing nail in there. So I don't have to worry about, anything loosened up. I like my stuff to be very consistent and tight. I don't like loose anything. Loose lips sink ships, blah, blah, blah. Well, loose bowstrings cause damage and make lots of noise. We don't want that. So I just pull everything, make sure everything's nice and straight. And then when I'm twisting my strings, I twist my strings this way and I cross over this way, okay? And I'll show you that. Hopefully I can get a good close up. Let's see here. There we go. That's pretty good. So I'm 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm twisting the strings counterclockwise and I'm wrapping clockwise, see? And every time you wrap it, you just keep twisting. You want to make sure that twist stays tight. You don't want your strings getting loose. See that? Just like that. See how I'm starting to get a little pattern there? Okay? And so we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this is 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, okay? And what I'm doing is I'm counting, because I have already a good idea in my head about this loop being at 3.5 to 3 1/4 inches. So, and that's just the length here. So when you're going to fold it in half, so whatever your length is, 3.5, when you fold it in half, you get, 1 3/4 inch. And that's usually a good size loop for recurve. Like I said, I'm making this for my Bear Super Grizz, a little backup string, and usually somewhere, depending on the number of strands that I'm using, the materials and blah, 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 somewhere between, 19 and 21 strands. That'll get me to that. See, I'm right at 3 inches here, and I'll go, about 4 more, and that should get me to 3.5. Measure that joker out. Yeah, right at 3.5. Right at 3.5 inches. Okay? And, I do single color strings. I do pinstriping. I'll do, 4 color strings, 6 color strings, whatever. Whatever that person wants. I said I customize it. I'll make the loop lengths custom. For the bow they want, some people want bigger loops, some people want smaller loops, blah, blah, blah. I said, but this is really good. It's a good skill to have to make your own strings. And the best thing to do is to buy some B55. It's $9.99 for a 1/4 pound roll and a 1/4 pound roll. Just 1 1/4 pound roll will get you about 30 some strings, maybe a little more, depending on the length and everything. So if you get 2 rolls, $20, make your own board. You can get into string making very, very inexpensively. Okay? So we got our loop here. Boom. We match it up. Green on green. You don't have to. Green on green, pink on pink. All right? And this is why we try to wax it, so we blend those in. We really want to heat those up and blend those in. All right? This is part 1. Now I'll twist, same thing I did with the regular loops, twist, loop over, and I'll do that all the way past the tag ends. I usually go 2 inches past the tag ends. All right? So that's about 40 loops. So, 40 times over, and I'm going to the right as some people go to the left. All right? And then we'll get back with you. And hopefully you'll join me for part 2 when we're doing the bottom loop. And most important thing before we do the bottom loop, thank you.